Anonymous Watch Guy here, and today we have a battle for budget dive watch supremacy. Quick wrist check. We're on the Zodiac Super Seawolf Watermelon. Great watch. But today we have a budget dive watch smackdown, shootout, battle royale between the challenger, the Timex Allied Coastline, and the reigning champion, the Casio Duro. These watches are going to battle it out in the following categories: case and finishing, dial, bezel action, lume, water resistance, movement, the strap, wearability and comfort, and finally the cool factor. And then we will come up with the winner. A closer look at the challenger, the Timex Allied Coastline. This watch measures in at 43 millimeters. It is a 51 millimeter lug tip to lug tip. It does have a 20 millimeter lug opening. It is 12 millimeters thick. It does have a push-pull crown with 100 meters water resistance, and it has a mineral crystal, of course. The champion, the Casio Duro. It is a 44 millimeter watch. It is 48.2 millimeters lug tip to lug tip. It has a 22 millimeter lug opening. It is also 12 millimeters thick. And of course it has the screw down crown with 200 meters water resistance, and it is also a mineral crystal. So the first category is the case and finishing. The case on the Timex Allied Coastline is all this kind of just straight matte finishing. One thing that you will notice about this watch, if you have one in hand, it is a little bit lightweight, and that's because this is not a stainless steel watch. This case is made from low lead brass. I'm sure that is still plenty durable and won't cause any issues, but it is a brass case and not stainless steel. The only thing that's stainless steel on this watch is the case back. And of course, on the Casio Duro, you have a very nicely high polished finish on this stainless steel case. Really attractive looking watch. You've got some nice kind of bevels on the lugs, some brushing on the top, high polished bevel, high polished sides. Very nicely finished watch for the price point. In this category, I give the edge to the Casio Duro. So our score is 1-0. The next category, the dial. I really like the dial on this Allied Coastline. I really like the colors. I think the contrast between the orange and black is very cool. I like the printing, the Timex, and then your limited specs down there at the bottom. I think the date window, the fact that they didn't cut into the indice at the 3 o'clock position, and it's in on the orange part of the dial. Again, the orange and black contrast. I really like the dial on the Timex. I think it's very well done. By contrast, the Casio Duro, you do have your applied indices outlined in silver, your nice high polished silver handset. Love the classic swordfish logo there above the 6 o'clock position. Your water resistance in Casio, the only printing on the dial, along with the Japan movement down there at the 6 o'clock position. Your date window is outlined in white, giving it a nice contrast as well. I really like that kind of blue sunray dial. Really, really nice looking dial. I think these watches both have really, really good looking dials. I think they both work well. It's a very hard category to decide. Therefore, I declare it a tie. I will give each watch a half a point for the dial. The next category, bezel action. Both of these are budget watches. This looks like kind of an aluminum bezel insert on the Timex. And the bezel action is not good. It's pretty disappointing. It just doesn't feel good. There is some back play. It's just not the greatest bezel action in the world. Again, it is a budget watch. The Casio Duro also has what appears to be like an aluminum bezel insert, some nice coin edging on the grip. Much better bezel action. Maybe just a small hint of back play, but you can just tell even by the sound of the bezel. Really good bezel action, especially for the price point. The clear winner in this category is the Casio Duro with another point. The Lume on these watches. One thing, when I first got this Timex, I thought all these indices were either applied indices and they were all lumed. They're not applied. It looks like it's just silver outline, and guess what? They're also not lumed. The only thing that's lumed on this watch is the handset and the tip of the seconds hand. Where on the Duro, you have a very nice lume on all the applied indices, on the handset, and on the seconds hand as well. A very clear winner in this category as well is the Casio Duro. Water resistance, pretty cut and dry there on that one as well. On the Timex, you have a push-pull crown and 100 meters water resistance. On the Duro, you have a screw-down crown and 200 meters water resistance. Another point for the Casio. Now, the movement, I couldn't find a lot of information on the movement, honestly, on either one. I do know the Casio has a Japanese quartz movement. I know the Timex on the back of the case, this particular one is made in the Philippines. It doesn't give any information about, it actually does say there, Movement Philippines as well. So there's not much information about the movement. I couldn't really find much online. This watch is actually discontinued by Timex. You can still find it on Amazon and eBay and some other places. So I don't know a lot about the movement in the Timex. I do know the Casio Japanese quartz movement, 3-year battery life, according to the Casio website. A little more known, while they're both solid brands, I give the edge on the movement to the Duro. The strap. The strap on the Timex is this kind of canvas feeling strap. It does have a nice genuine leather lining, and it's honestly pretty comfortable. This isn't as stiff as some other canvas straps you'll see, especially on budget watches. You do have a signed Timex buckle. For a budget watch, this is a pretty nice canvas strap. You've got one fixed keeper, one floating keeper. I really like the strap on this watch. On the Duro, the standard resin strap, it is a little bit better than some of the resin straps on the Casio, some of the cheaper Casio G-Shocks that really are just very kind of cheap feeling and rigid. There is a little more flexibility to this strap. It is a little bit nicer than some other resin straps that come on Casios, but it's not great. The good thing about both of these watches, with the 20 millimeter on the Timex and the 22 millimeter on the Casio, you can change to a lot of strap options and swap them out. But on the strap category, I give the edge to the Timex. I think the strap's just a little bit nicer and a little more comfortable. So the next category is wearability and comfort. Both of these watches wear pretty well. I'm going to give you a wrist shot of both of them for this category. Both of them are a little bit larger watches. So again, don't let that scare you if you have a smaller wrist, because I think you could still pull it off. I do have a 7.5 inch wrist. Here is the Timex on wrist. It wears very well. Very comfortable. The strap definitely aids in the wearability of the Timex. I think it's a pretty nice strap, and it wears very comfortably. You can see there on my 7.5 inch wrist, it doesn't overhang. Lugs turned down. Very comfortable watch. Now let's get a wrist shot of the Duro as well. Again, it is also a larger watch, but if you have a smaller wrist, the lug to lug on this one isn't quite as big as the Timex. But here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see it also wears very nice. Very comfortable. Doesn't overhang. The resin strap, again, is a little more giving than some of the other resin straps on some less expensive G-Shocks. I called this category a draw. I give them each a half a point. I think they both wear very comfortably. Again, the strap of the Timex, I give the edge over the Casio. I think that really helps with its wearability, but I think they both wear very well. I think they both wear very comfortably. And if you have a little bit smaller wrist, don't let the size scare you away. Finally, cool factor. Both of these watches are very cool. One thing, this Timex does have Indiglow. If you push on the crown, it lights up. It might be hard to see in all this high lighting here, but it does light up. Hard to pick up on camera here. Both very well established brands. Both look cool. I think you could give either credit in this category, but the Duro is the king. It's cool. Casios are cool. There's so many cool Casio watches. You've got the Marlin on the dial. It's just the legend of budget dive watches. So I gave the point in the cool factor to the Duro. So, in summary, we have our score here. Case and finishing, Casio. Dial, they each split the point. Bezel action, clearly the Duro. Lume, clearly the Duro. Water resistance, clearly the Duro. We gave the point on the movement for the Casio as well. Better strap on the Timex. They both wear excellent, and the coolness of the Casio is unquestioned. So in the end, it's a blowout. The Duro wins by a score of 7-2. The Casio Duro, still the champion, still undefeated, still the king of all budget dive watches. But the Timex Allied Coastline, again, cool watch. Really like it, really like the look. But as far as just overall specs, finishing, quality, feel, cool factor, the Duro is the king. If you liked the video, maybe give me a like or subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.